Well, before we get started with our tutorial today, we'll have to make sure that Blackboard is in the edit mode. So let's go ahead and walk our cursor up here to the upper right hand corner and turn edit mode to on, and you'll notice that the view becomes very different and we have all of our editing capabilities available. So now we're ready to proceed. Now what we're going to do is we are going to go to the Grade Center and we're going to grade assignment 1, which was a paper that we assigned to the class. And what we're going to do this time is we are going to download all of those papers at one time onto our computer so we can easily read them and grade them, and then we're going to go back up and grade the whole class at one time. So if you're ready to go, let's go over to the Grade Center, and I'm going to go ahead and just click on this chevron to the right of Grade Center, which takes me directly to the Grade Center view. And then I'm going to find the assignment that we want to grade, which is right here, assignment 1. And you'll see that below assignment 1, everybody's submitted grade is either a green box with an exclamation point in it, which as the rollover shows us means it needs grading, or it's two lines like this, which is telling us that Ozzy hasn't turned in his paper yet and is going to be late. So we're ready to download all of these assignments right now. So to download all the assignments, we'll go up here to the assignment area again, and you'll see that there right next to it is the little edit chevron. And let's go ahead and click on that, and that'll give us a list, one of which is assignment file download. Assignment file download, if we click on that, will take us to a new window, and you can see this gives us information for assignment 1, which is listed up here. Now, if we look at what it's telling us, it shows us that most of our students need grading. We'll see that 2 of them are set at not available. And if we look over here, we can see that yes, indeed, Ozzy and Thorny have not turned in their papers yet. But everybody else has. It tells us when they turned them in, so we can tell whether or not they are late. And we just have oodles of information here to help us. So let's go ahead. One thing I might tell you before we go ahead, look down here and make sure that you are displaying all of your items. Blackboard has a disturbing habit of hiding things from us. So if it says something like displaying 1 to 10 of 20 items, you need to go over here and either select Show All or Edit Paging, either of those. But we have our whole class showing here, and I want to select everyone for download. I could select people individually, but I don't think I want to do that. I want to bring down everybody's paper. So I'll just go up here to this top check mark and click on it, and now I'm ready to bring everything down. So I'll go over here to the Submit button, click, and now we come to another view. What Blackboard is doing for us here is it is packaging all of the papers and all of the comments that students may have typed in when they submitted their assignments into one file, which is a zip file. Now a zip file means that everything is put into one folder and it is compressed so it's easy to download. We now have to download that by clicking on this link. And this is where we have to make sure we put it in the right place on our computer so that we can find it. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this, and I'm going to select Save Link As. And just to be easy on my Macintosh here, I'm going to put it on the desktop. You can do the same thing with your Windows computer if you want. So I'm going to save it, and then we'll go see what it looks like on the desktop. Good, and through the magic of the internet, I now have my downloaded zip file right here on the desktop of my computer, along with the other files that mess up my computer, like we all have. Now, if you have Windows computer, it will look something similar to this, and I don't want any complaints about how this is only on a Macintosh. It works the same way on both of them. Any computer built in our recent memory will allow you to just double click on a zip file, click, click, and it will extract it, sometimes that fast, and we now have a folder that has the same name as our zip file ready for us to grade. Let's go ahead and look and see what's inside of there. Oh, goody goody. And what you see is a giant list of submitted files. You have for each one of them up to 2 files. Now if I expand this column list a little bit, I can see what the file name is telling me. And now I can see that Blackboard has given all of these assignments the name Assignment 201, which is telling me this was turned down. Probably that's our course number there. It gives me the username of the person who submitted it, so Andy, Barney, David, and so forth, which attempt it was, the date of the attempt, and I think time too. I skipped the military, so I don't read this stuff so well. And finally, the name of the paper that came down. So there's a lot of information right here, and it's really useful for us to know what is going on. What's most important to you is that it doesn't really matter what the student calls the paper. That paper is going to have their username associated with it, so you'll never be confused as to whose paper you're grading at any given time. So the only thing that really changes is this last part here, which is the name of the paper that the student gave it. Yes, everyone here has assignment 1, and that's because everyone here turned in the same paper. So let's go ahead and see what else we can find out here. There are both text files, and we know they're text files because this extension is .txt. That is information that a student put in the submission field before they downloaded the assignment. So here you can see that Lucy hopes that she gets an A on this, otherwise Desi will be very angry. And basically this is where students will either give you their excuses for why it's not a good paper or else beg you for a good grade. So they're amusing to look at, but we'll ignore those. The rest of this that's important to us are the doc files, and of course doc files tell us, that is the actual assignment paper, and that's what we care about. So we can just go ahead and open those papers from here. They'll open up in Microsoft Word or whatever format you want and grade them as you normally do. What I suggest you do is that you open them, make a copy with the word graded at the end of the file name, and then put your comments in there, and do that if you want to then give the student that kind of feedback. But we'll just go ahead and grade, and then I'll show you what to do with them when you're finished. Okay, so you've now spent your hours grading the papers, and it's time to turn them back in. So we go up to Blackboard and we see the same old download screen, so we have to go back to the Grade Center, and we'll do that by clicking on the very obscure little OK button that is hidden down in the lower right hand corner of so many of Blackboard's windows. And we're in the Grade Center. Now, in order to grade these, we have a couple of choices. We can, especially if we're not going to turn the papers back, we can go to the Grade Center, click on one of these boxes, and just go ahead and enter, let's say Lucy got a 90 in spite of what she pleaded with us, enter her grade and press enter, and there we are done. Now, you may be a more conscientious teacher than that, and you may want to add comments to Lucy's grade. And you can do that by going over here to the chevron next to the grade, and you'll see that there is an item here called Quick Comment. So you can go ahead and click on that, and now you'll see that you can put in feedback to the user in this tiny little box here. And so, good, but not great. And of course I have my cap locks key on, which is irritating. So I could put that in if I want to, but I don't. You also should notice that down here, grading notes, these are for you. Lucy wouldn't see these. You just put something there like, maybe this is good or she's getting better, or some kind of notes to yourself. So if all you want to do is assign a number grade and then maybe give some comments to the student, that's how you would do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase Lucy's grade here so that she's ungraded again. Yes, I will null the grade, thank you. Now, if you want to return the papers, or if you just want to do things in a way that I think is a lot faster, here's what I learned to do with Blackboard. Go back up here to the Assignment 1 area and click on its chevron. And I'm going to go ahead and select Grade Attempts. Click. And that takes us to the first student's grading area. And you'll notice that this thing, a little confusing the first time you look at it, has some submission history here and so forth. So it's telling you that there's been one attempt and I'm reviewing that attempt. Here again is Lucy's notes with her submission. And it's really good to take a look at these because sometimes they really are worth looking at. Again, there's the paper, so you could download it just straight from here if you didn't want to go through the batch download, but that takes a little bit of time. So let's go ahead and assign Lucy her grade. And again, this is just like putting it in the Grade Center, but I'm putting it here in this form. I'm going to tell Lucy, this was a nice try. Please read the attached paper for comments. Of course, I'm in New Mexico, so I always start to type pepper when I do a P. Now here's what's different. We're going to go ahead and attach Lucy's file. And I go to my desktop where I put everything so I could find them easily. And there's my gradebook. Now you'll notice that I'm going to have to expand this a little bit so I can see whose grades are what. This is the curse of those long file names. And I have to find Lucy, even though her last name is Arnez. In my gradebook, her username is Lucy, and there she is. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Click Open on a Macintosh. And you'll see now I have attached her file name and returned it to her. You'll see that I have graded here, so I know that that's the one that has the grades on it. So now what I've done with Lucy is I've given her a grade, I've given her comments, and I've returned her paper with more comments on there. And I can go ahead and do a few things here. I can save and exit, which means I'd go back to the Grade Center. I could view the previous, or what is my favorite thing to do is click Save and Next. And that means that I can skip going to the Grade Center and I can go on to the next student and just continue to walk through everybody's grades until I am finished. So I hope that this gives you a good idea of how to quickly go through an assignment like a paper that is due, where you have lots of papers coming in at one time. I think that Blackboard does give us some options for saving time, which is certainly a good thing. And this is also a nice way for us to get papers back in the hands of students with comments on them. And we can even set this assignment up to allow them then to resubmit if we want to. But that's the subject of another movie in the making. Thank you all, and enjoy Blackboard.